25 high school football media day here. Of course, we just had our commercial break a couple of minutes ago, and we had a lot of teams we talked about, a lot of great teams looking to rebuild, a lot of great teams looking to retool, and really everything in between. And this brings us right now to our next team here in the state of Nebraska, the Bees of Bloomfield. Always a pleasure having you, Coach, and company here to the KCAU-TV studio.
Hey, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk, Coach. Obviously, last season, what were some of the main takeaways for you just as a coach that you saw and you're like, hey, we just need to kind of work on this now for 2025?
Maybe a little disappointing last year. We were 4-5, so I think we can improve upon that. We have to overcome adversity. We had 3 quarterbacks that we went through. We had a four-year starting quarterback, and losing him really hurt. So we've got to go and we've got a lot of kids back from last year, and I think we can go and we can do a better job this year. We've got more players out there, and these kids have really done a good job.
And Owen, I know we talked about last year, there was a lot of youth on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now for you guys to kind of have that extra year of experience under the belt, have you really noticed a difference from like the last preseason to right now?
I mean, kinda not.
I mean, what were some of the main things that you guys learned just as a team, though, last year?
We learned about all of our positions, what we're good at, what we're not good at. We're trying to get the right people in the right places.
That's well said. And Brock, for you, just kind of contributed on this team last year. What is this team really trying to do to take that next step? Obviously, you mentioned 4-5 a season ago, but just continues trending in that right direction.
Just keep going. Last year we got knocked out first round of playoffs, and I think our team chemistry is way better this year. I mean, we have 10 seniors, 7 starters that are seniors, so I think we can go right through it.
And Coach, great point there about the chemistry. Just what have you seen from a leadership perspective from this team? And you mentioned the senior class too.
Having those 10 seniors who have game experience is really going to be a benefit for us this year. I'm really excited to go and kick it off on Monday. And it's not one person; it's that whole chemistry of all of them buying in, and you have kids stepping up in different spots. If it's an offensive lineman here or running back, they're doing a good job working together.
And we mentioned just obviously some of that returning experience. 6 of your top 8 yard producers are back. I mean, just what are the benefits of having guys like that just coming back in that role, just with more experience, more reps?
Well, they just know what to go and prepare for. They've been there. They've done that role. They've had that experience. They've had that game experience. So they don't get those jitters that you have a freshman or sophomore coming in and taking those reps. You don't know what they're going to go and do when they get out to the field. So these guys who have experience and like I said, having the quarterback go down, we've had a lot of people who have had to step up into those positions, and a lot of younger ones step up as well.
And you feel like that adversity almost kind of created an opportunity for you guys to grow and be better?
I didn't like it last year, but this year, when you have to go and kind of be put to the fire, it's you got to go and step up. And I was happy that we made the playoffs, but wasn't happy for how we turned out last year.
That's well said. And Owen, do you think that's kind of a motivator for this group, the way last season ended, now you guys coming into this season?
Of course it is. We're always pushing each other to do more than just the playoffs, and it was really disappointing last year that we barely made it. But this year, I think we're going to do pretty good.
And what do you think it's going to take for this group kind of just to take another step forward and elevate?
I mean, showing up, giving 110% every single practice, just pushing beyond your limits, and showing up to the weight room every day. We did a pretty good job with that, and yeah.
Well said. And Brock, we just talked about kind of the buy-in of this program. I mean, how evident is it for you just to see, how many guys are really locked in and, want to, I know what they say, kind of just row in the same direction. Do you feel that's the case with Bloomfield?
I think we're, like he said, we all got in the weight room this summer. I don't think very many people miss very much. We're put in 110%, and we'll get farther than we did last year. I mean, I know all 10 of us seniors got some big goals for this year, so.
That's great to hear. And Coach, is there really kind of an early strength that you've identified so far with this group?
I think it's our depth. We have a lot of, we've got 28 kids on a 8-man school. So that's definitely going to go and help us. I do think we have some athletes in some different positions. So I think having that the amount of kids that we do, and I think we have probably 14 to 15 kids who can go and play. So I think that's going to go and give us a huge advantage.
And what do you think it's really going to be, if you will, kind of like an X factor for this team in 2025?
X factor, I would just think us kind of coming together. This class is kind of work together. I've got a couple silent leaders who aren't here, and they bust their tail. They don't need any praise or anything like that. They work hard. They're kind of nose to the grindstone, and some of those kids are really going to go and help fuel this team.
What do you guys think?
I mean,
obviously there's a lot that you guys are looking forward to for this season. I mean, just important so for you guys just to take it one game at a time. I mean, how big is that for this team?
Pretty darn important. We have some big games. First week, we have a good team, but we just got to take it one game at a time, and we'll be all right.
yeah, keep your head down and one game at a time.
Well said. Well, Coach, guys, thanks so much for taking the time, and best of luck this season.
Hey, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. The Bloomfield Bees starting off the 2025 campaign against the Stanton Mustangs. Bloomfield, they've got a real nice schedule on their slate. They'll play Crofton, another team, a neighboring team there on September 19th. One of a handful of games you may be able to find on our Sports Zone show airing on Friday nights right here on KCAU-9 Sports. That brings us now to our next team, the Lamar's Bulldogs. Coach Vigdal and company, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I know relatively early for you guys, kind of in the off-season right now, but what kind of were some of the main takeaways for you, coach-wise, at the end of 2024 heading into the off-season?
Well, I think we started out a little shaky, but at the end, I think we were probably playing some of the best ball, probably almost in the state, and we were co-district champs, but PowerPoints didn't get us in and stuff like that, and that's fine. But we really played well, and then you get into the summer and it's about rebuilding your team, because this is high school football. You have a new team every fall.
That's well said, Coach. And I believe it was a 4-game win streak that you guys were on at the end of the season. I know it was last season and it's a different team, but what do you think it was during that stretch that really made a difference?
I think confidence plays a big role in how we played, and just minimizing the mistakes and getting turnovers, and I think we believed in what we were doing, and we kind of had the rebuild of last year a little bit with our skill people, a lot of new ones, but once they got rolling, we really got rolling. And now the good news about 2025 is those guys are back, so we're excited. We have high expectations, and so hopefully those mistakes we made early in the year last year, we've learned from them. We're a year older. We have a quarterback that'll be a 2-year starter. Our W will be a 2-year starter. Our Y will be we got a couple guys up front that are 2-year starters, so things are in the right direction.
Well said. Obviously for you, Andrew and Jamie, both of you guys were on that team last year. Just the experience that you gained last season, how valuable was that, and what are you kind of doing to carry that into the 2025 season?
It was really valuable, that experience that I got being a first-time varsity starter, kind of like seeing how the varsity ball is different than JV and all that stuff. But coming into the next year, I think it's going to be awesome to kind of have the nerves gone from the year before. Just kind of just lock in right away and get ready to go.
What do you think?
Kind of what he said, you've been in that situation before and you kind of know what to do, and you need that experience to do what you need to do.
And of course, this time last year, we talked a lot about the defense, obviously, how much of a difference maker that unit is for you guys. It seems that this program is not satisfied where you guys were, where you want to be. What are you doing to kind of take those next steps, especially on that side of the ball?
Well, I think we graduated a lot of people from our defense last year, so we have a few coming back, but the one thing about it is we play that level of defense all the way through our 9 through 12 program. So it's like any mentality of a high school football coach. The next guy's up, the next group is ready to go, and so I think they've done a good job this summer preparing our kids for what we're going to see, because we're going to have a relatively tough schedule. You have SBL, you have Heelan, you have MOC, you have Sioux Center, you have Fort Dodge. It's going to be a week in, week out thing for us.
Obviously, the first couple of games you mentioned, not easy by any means. Do you think those are almost measuring stick opportunities for this program?
Well, most definitely. You know, you look at our non-district, and you know, we have 3 close games, which are MOC and Sioux Center and Heelan, and I mean, you go to each one of those, and they have extremely talented players, and so we're going to have to be physical, we're going to have to be tough, and we have to minimize our mistakes.
And Jamie, I know you mentioned the experience you gained last year. What do you think the biggest learning lesson was for you in 2024?
Just like the little mistakes, like coming into myself, kind of making those mistakes, and like learn how to bounce back from what I did wrong, and just minimizing the mistakes from last time.
And that's well said. And I think that kind of speaks to the point almost of, you know, wanting to do the little things right and how much of a difference that makes. Is that really something you guys embody?
Yeah.
What do you think, Andrew?
Sure. You know, we're big on the little things in our program, and we're always doing the little things right. We try to, at least. And when we do the little things right, good things happen.
That's well said. And Coach, just for you, kind of what you've seen early so far, I mean, what are your thoughts on just the way this team has attacked the offseason?
Well, I think the biggest thing we need to do is, because we did lose a lot of kids from last year, is you start fresh, and it's a fresh team. And so what I saw over the month of June is us trying to figure out, you know, you get your leaders and you get your followers, and everybody can lead at different times and stuff, but it's the connection that they make. And throughout our off season, I think the greatest thing that we've done is made a connection with our teammates. And so you go to practice now, and we're excited, and you know, the comfortability is there, and so you know, they know that they care about each other, just the way they practice and the way they get after it a little bit.
And you talk about obviously having that growth and the communication, the leadership. Is there, you know, skill-wise, something that's really stood out or popped early?
I just think when you go through all your open fields throughout the summer, the communication of, you know, are you in combo? We talked about are you in combo coverage? Are you single or whatever? All that stuff up front, guys. You know, we have our steps that we call out, and you know, I got to communicate with you to make sure that you understand what I'm going to do, and I understand what you want to do. So all those things are important. And even as we started our camp last week, you hit the ground running. And so hopefully as we continue on, and we always talk about anybody can do it on air, anybody can do it on cones. In the heat of the moment, are you going to do the right thing at the right time?
I like that. Well, talking about this team collectively, obviously there was a lot of bright spots, but just what are you hoping to do just to continue not only sustaining that, because it's not easy to do it year after year, but just to continue just taking those positive steps?
Well, I think the big thing is just our attitude about how we can do anything we want to do. And we tell a lot of stories about champions, and we tell a lot of stories about how Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile. Nobody thought that could be done before. It's new. All of a sudden, then 12 people after that can do that. So our kids are constantly, I think they call it story time with Coach Vigdahl anymore, because of the simple fact is we tell a lot of stories, and each one of them has something like, hey, if you put your mind to it, you really want to do it, we can accomplish it.
What do you guys think?
It's exactly right. Everyone buys in beginning of the season, camp season. When camp starts, everyone kind of it's the time to buy in. So the guys that don't buy in, you can kind of tell, and the ones that do buy in, we come together, and good things happen.
Really try to create a family and a big bond in our program, and when we do, and you're really close, and you know the guy next to you, and you trust him. Trust is really important. When you do trust him, good things can happen.
Story time with Coach Vigdahl. I like the ring to that. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Best of luck this season.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Lamar's takes on Council Bluffs Lincoln on August 29th and begin the season. Obviously, we talk about their schedule. I mean, starting off their week 1, you got to focus on the first game. That's the biggest one in front of you, right? The Bulldogs taking on the Lynx of Council Bluffs Lincoln there. The Bulldogs obviously with a lot of great aspirations. Of course, a stat here, their defense, of course, a big difference maker. They're 5-0 in games last season when they allowed 20 or fewer points. And that brings us up to the Purple Power here. MOC Floyd Valley. Guys, thanks so much for taking the time to stop by.
Appreciate you having us today.
Absolutely. Coach, let's talk. I know still relatively early for you guys preseason-wise. What are some of the big takeaways that you've seen?
Yeah, you know what, through the first week of camp, just really excited about the energy that our kids have brought. I think one of the biggest things that we've seen as a coaching staff and our kids is just the retention, too, of what we've done the last couple of years, where we've picked up from last year, and just what they continue to absorb in this first 4 days. And so we're really excited about where we're at, not just with execution, but with attitude and effort as well.
Well, Sam, we're going to go to Mr. 53 over there, Dre, and obviously you're on the team last season. You got to experience some of the positives with that. What were some of the main takeaways for you in the returning bunch?
Yeah, I think we're a really close-knit group, and a lot of the players on the team are kind of like friends as well. We do a lot of stuff outside of football, so just playing on the field together is a lot of fun, and yeah, we make it a good time.
Also, and Dylan, to you now, obviously, being a part of, last season, what were some of the learning lessons for you, and how have you guys applied that now to 2025?
Kind of a learning lesson that we kind of learned is that obviously we knew we have a bunch of more like new guys that had to step up into new roles, which I think kind of correlate to our Northwestern camp that we had, which also correlated to kind of just showed how a bunch of new guys were able to step up and new players stepping in new situations and new positions where I thought our team did very well and that we're able to adapt very well.
You talk about some of those players, Coach, that graduated last year, so you're looking for guys to kind of fill that role. Do you think that adds almost like a competitive fire to your practices? Guys want to get on the field, right?
Definitely. We certainly missed pieces of what our graduating class last year had, but part of being in Dutch football is like, what is the legacy that you're going to leave as a player, and what will your group leave as for the teams to come? And I think the group that we just graduated left the program in a really good place. We bring back a lot of experience, but I think too they've set the table for a place that we have guys that want to compete, that want to go play, and they want to make each other better every single day.
And Coach Hagg said, what about just kind of the leadership? I know you mentioned obviously a new senior class. I mean, just kind of how that has a trickle-down effect. I mean, what have you seen so far on that?
Yeah, I look back, the season doesn't simply begin in August. The work that these guys have done over the course of the last several months leading into the season has been crucial. And I think about the role that these guys and others in our senior class have played just as we began our off-season workouts way back in June, and just their faithfulness and their consistency. And not just being there, but doing the work when they were there as well. And so I'm excited about how they've invested before the season's even started to get us to where we want to be.
And for you guys, I'm sure there was a point in time where you guys were freshmen and sophomores looking up to seniors. Now you guys are kind of in the driver's seat there. I mean, does that add a bit more value to the season, especially with this kind of being your last run?
Yeah, I think knowing it's our last run, it's just we want to make it the best experience possible for not just us, but for the younger guys as well. And we kind of want to leave like an example for the younger guys, and so they know what to do in future years, and they have something to build off, not just this year, but next year as well.
What do you think?
Kind of just the way from freshman to sophomore year to where we're senior years now, we're able to learn a lot, especially with a bunch of new guys stepping up and giving us new points for leadership. And I think as the season's going on right now, our leadership has definitely took a toll to the young guys. The young guys are a lot more involved and want to be there more and fight for a starting spot.
And for you guys, obviously playoff appearance last year, how are you hoping to kind of build off that, Coach? I'll start with you.
Yeah, I look back at just my time even at MOC Floyd Valley. One of the things that I think has really started to shift is just our kids' belief factor. And so we used to have conversations about, man, wouldn't it be great to make the playoffs? Our guys have done the work and been consistent within that to a point that we've been able to qualify for playoffs and had those chances. The next thing within our belief is not only we want to qualify, but we want to go win a first-round game. And so I think those things are things that have kept our kids hungry in the off seasons, but ultimately keep driving us forward too in the weeks ahead.
And what do you think it's going to take? Obviously, football, a game of inches, you know that. Just to kind of get over that hump, what do you really think it's going to take for MOC Floyd Valley to, get past that round and, get closer to its ultimate goals?
Yeah, a lot of it just comes down to consistency, I think. What can we do every single day and every single week to be at our best on Friday nights? That's something that we push our kids for every single day and every single week. We play in a really competitive area of the state of Iowa. Our non-district lineup is really good. That will prepare us well for district play. And I would argue that our Class 3A District 1 is probably one of the best in the state. And so we know that we're going to have to show up every single day, every single week. We're going to have to play together if we want that to be something that we want to enjoy.
And Dylan, that leads right to my next question. Obviously, that schedule is a beast. You guys play good team week in and week out. I mean, do you feel those kind of serve as measuring stick opportunities to see what this team's really about and where you guys are growth-wise?
For sure, but I'm also confident to where a word that we kind of use a lot was trust. It might be a small word, but to us, trust is a big thing. And I feel like with our trust, especially with the guys that we had from growing up, from playing football at such a young age, I have a lot of trust in those guys, to be able to compete against even the tough teams, because our district's really hard. But I have a strong belief and trust in our guys that we'll be able to match up.
And Drayton, obviously we talk about that schedule, but you just got to take it one game at a time. I mean, just how important is to kind of keep that one game as your sole focus?
Yeah, I think maybe in years past we might have gotten behind early in the season and just dropping games that we know we could have won. So just taking one game at a time so we can get ahead early in the season when we're not trying to fight back when it comes playoff time.
That's well said. And my last question, kind of for all three of you guys here, what do you think the X factor is going to be for MOC Floyd Valley this season?
Yeah, we had our senior retreat just the other day, and I think an intangible value that I think these guys have built. Dylan has already talked to it, is just the trust that they have among them. You know, these guys have really bought into, we've got to be a family, we've got to be a brotherhood, because in times of adversity, that's what's going to carry us most. So I think that will be one of them.
What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, kind of just the same thing with Coach. A big thing for us is to be able to get over the next hurdle and not get behind, is just trusting in ourselves, trusting in our players, and just do our 1/11th on the team.
I think something special about us is just our hunger and how bad we all want to win. And like, we all have a shared goal, and we all, you know, want to go win a state championship. So I think our X factor is just the hunger and the will to go do it and want to succeed.
That's great to hear, guys. Always a pleasure having MOC Floyd Valley in the house, and thanks again for stopping by. Best of luck this season.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The Dutchmen starting the season against Central Lyon, George Little Rock, MOC Floyd Valley taking on the Lions there on August 29th. Taking a look at some of the notable games on their schedule. They'll play Unity Christian on September 5th, of course, a battle of Orange City Schools, and Bishop Heelan. That game will be here in Sioux City on October 3rd. A quick stat about that team, of course, the Dutchmen finishing with a 2024 record of 6-5 overall. They were eliminated in the first round of the Class 3A playoffs. They lost to Sergeant Bluff Luton. That team went on to the state tournament. They lost that game by 18 points. We just saw defensive end Drayden Punt. He's committed to play at Kansas next year. He led the team with 9.5 tackles for loss, also 4.5 sacks for the big defensive end. Of course, Dylan Masdom, the running back linebacker product, he had a team best 673 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns for the head coach there, Grant Hegstead, and the MLC Floyd Valley squad a season ago. Obviously, as we saw there, another great bunch of high school football teams in all 3 states. Of course, we just talked with MLC Floyd Valley. Always great catching up with Coach Vigdal and the Lamar's Bulldogs the season they had. South Sioux City, we mentioned Gray Peterson, the first-year head coach. He played at Morningside, so Sioux City football fans probably a bit more familiar with him. And, of course, if you missed the earlier segment of the show, we started off with the Black Raiders of Sioux City East High. Head coach Mike Winkelpleck and company. You know, they have some big aspirations for 2025. Quarterback Caleb Jepson and company. You know, they had a pretty good season last year, but they're looking to build off it. And, of course, in that big Class 5A, that's where a lot of those dynamite teams are. They finished at 6-4. You know, we talked to Dakota Valley, obviously an intriguing storyline there. It's their quarterback play. Of course, they had Drew Luck in the starter a season ago. This year, tied to Georgia. Of course, that DeGeorgia last name coming from Jared DeGeorgia, of course, the late Sioux City Bandits quarterback. We had a chance to talk with Cherokee football. Of course, they have Jackson Pauls for the two-way talent. He's committed to play at Air Force. Of course, got a lot of great players, a lot of great teams. As you can see, we had a chance to introduce our new weekend sports anchor, sports reporter, Alex Huddleston, to the KCAU-9 team. It's been great having him as well. And, of course, our friends now at Midwest Sports Plus, Pat Schultz and company. They've had a bit of a rebrand. Of course, their information is on our website. They also have an at Midwest Sports Plus. They'll continue to stream games here in the Siouxland area, as well as Sioux Falls and Fargo, North Dakota, among others. And before we go, a quick thanks, I should say, to our sponsor here, Wayne State College, for the operation here. And a big thank you also to the hardworking men and women behind the scenes helping today run as smooth as it did. Always fun, always a pleasure and a privilege to talk to so many teams, so many great players, so many great coaches here in the comfort of our KCAU-9 studio. Of course, this leads right into our two-a-days coverage, which starts tomorrow with Sioux City West. The Wolverines will be the first team up in the spotlight. That leads into the 24th. And, of course, our two-a-days high school football media day special here on the 27th of August. I know we talked about some teams. We have Elk Point and Jefferson playing on the 22nd. They're the first team up in Siouxland. We have a lot of teams playing on the 29th, of course, that Friday. And the 28th, Sioux City North takes on Sioux City 8, that Thursday night football game at Elwood Olson Stadium. So with that being said, just want to thank you guys all for tuning in to the 2025 High School Football Media Day live stream brought to you by Wayne State College right here at KCAU-9 Sports.